What's good, YouTube? It's jazzlovesmma here, and I'm going to be talking about UFC Noche and what I think could main event it. The full card, main card got announced. I'm going to be talking about that first, but I have some matchups that I made that could be the main event. We're going to start. When this got announced, I did not have the audio, so it looked like it was Moreno versus Morales in the main event. But it's not. It's the co-main, I believe. And Fiora versus Grasso. Good fights, to be honest, for Noche. I don't think Moreno should be this high. I'm gonna get into that because the fights under, I think, should be ranked higher or should be put higher. Maybe not above this. It should be the featured fight, right? Like, let's just say Fiora versus Grasso is the main fight, main event. This should be the featured fight. And Blades versus Hockett, or not Blades versus Hockett, Waldo versus Blades should honestly be the co-main. This should be the actual featured fight. And this should be right here. And then you have LA versus Chairez back to back. It makes callouts easier. I think if Moreno wins, Chairez wins, it's a good fight that could eventually happen. If Elliott wins and Moreno wins, good fight that could potentially happen. And I just think that, good matchups. If you follow my Twitter, you'll know I made Elliott versus Chairez. I booked that a while ago. Acosta versus Blade is kind of a fight I wanted, but I was like, oh, maybe they'll give one of these guys someone moving up. They didn't. Like moving up a weight division. Fiora versus Grasso, easy. I'm really interested in the fact that they gave him Morales. Honestly, I didn't expect them to give him unranked, but it's pretty winnable for Moreno. So I think that's what they're trying to do. Because if Moreno wins, it's a winnable matchup. He's back in the Mexico Star is back. If Morales wins, new prospect on the block in the rankings. He gets the star power off Moreno. It's pretty good matchmaking. When I made my video, this wasn't still announced yet if it was going to be on Noche or 331. Big Marcel ended up posting like a day after that was going to be on Noche, so that kind of fucked up with my post, but it is what it is, or my video. By the way, if you want to watch my video when these fights were originally announced by Big Marcel, I think over here. Yeah, it'll be right over here. Check it out if you like. I talk about matchmaking for the main event and as well. It was mainly about Ankalaev versus Kuskov, but I also had matchmaking for UFC Noche. Aldridge versus Tureen, honestly shouldn't be on the main card. I don't know what else is going to be on this card, but this is not a main event or main card fight. Should be in the prelims, low prelims. I don't know how Aldridge is. I just realized JJ Aldridge is ranked. I don't know how that happened. Moving on to Gaston versus Belgrui. That's a good fight, It's a good fight that was made. Huge size difference. They just want Gastelum out of the UFC, I guess. They want to get him out of his contract. I get it. He misses weight a lot. But he takes these fights. So he's good to have around for that reason. And the UFC obviously keeps him around for this reason. I will say that it's a total mismatch. I think Belgrui could easily TK him late. Especially if he comes in fat. Like if he comes up lobbed out and not locked in shape. I could see the diet of Gaston really getting him. But we're not here to mainly talk about these fights. What's going to be the main event? Fitzgerald said on the broadcast that the main event will be announced this week. So I want to jump ahead and restart matchmaking. I want to see what's in the UFC's brain. What will they put in this main event? I don't think it's going to be Diego Lopez versus Charles Oliveira Arman. Just don't think that's going to happen. No BMF title is going to be on here. No, you can't really think that far outside the box. What would they put over these three fights? I can get this being this low, but what are they going to put over Fiora and Grasso, Moreno Morales? They don't really like heavyweight that much sometimes, so that makes sense why it's put here. But what do they think will go over Fiora Grasso? There are two fighters that I think can go over this, and it's the main one we all know. It's Diego Lopez versus Yair Rodriguez. This is the only fight that should actually be happening. It's the only fight that should be main eventing. It's a huge fight, so shit talk will be amazing. There's so much into it that we could get it, like content out of. It would be hype and it'd be a sick fight as well. Very fun fight. No way it's boring. Which is just the way they fight and their styles. This should be the main event. No questions asked, but it seems like Yair is ducking. This could be at 155. It doesn't really need that spot. This could be someone fighting for that top 15 spot. But Diego Lopez is like, both these guys are top 5, so are they going to be wanting to fight for a 15 ranked spot up a division? Probably not, but they could still fight for. They could still fight at 155 and then potentially fight someone who is top 5 or something like that in lightweight. This just gets the fight out the way. 145, 155 doesn't matter. But if a year doesn't accept it and they want Diego on here like they did last year, where they wanted this fight, they probably wanted this fight, but they got John Sylvan said, if you want this, if Diego wants to be at 155, I don't even know if that's next, but if he wants to stay at 155 and move up, I think him versus Dan Hooker is a sick fight. The reason I don't have him here against like a Paddy Pimblett or a Benoit Saint Denis. Saint Denis just kind of got put unconscious a while ago, and I think they would want to save him for that France card if he is healthy to come back. I think they're in the same month. I think if it was going to be a Max Holloway, Max kind of seems like he wants to sit out. He wants to sit out be with the family for a little bit. That's fair. He kind of alluded to that in the Conor McGregor post interview, where he was just like, "Listen, but I just want to be with my family. Maybe we'll get a trilogy with Conor." So clearly he wants that trilogy back with Conor. I don't think he's gonna get it, but he's probably waiting for a bigger fight. He's not gonna want to fight like Diego Lopez. He wants something else, right? He's got a massive payday as well. He probably just wants to relax for the rest of the year. And I think Dan Hooker's a safe fight. Obviously, Dan Hooker's in the highly ranked. He's probably like top 12. He's probably like 12, 13, around that range. But I think this is an amazing fight. And it gets Diego Lopez in the top 10 spot. And they could just put him above a couple other people that are like off losses or something. They could honestly, if Diego wins this easily, could put him above BSD or something. Just based off merit. Like, oh, he was a top 5 featherweight. But if he doesn't want to move up, the Dan Hooker fight doesn't intrigue him, I think there's one fight that should be for him when it makes sense ranking wise. It makes sense timeline wise as well. A man who fought in the main event a couple months ago, Aljamain Sterling. I think this is a good fight. The grappling will be tested for Diego Lopez. We haven't really seen him face a grappler in a while. If Sterling wins this, he can get the title shot he's been wanting. If Diego wins this, he just beat a former champion. And he gets like a real big weight on his record if he just goes out there and chins Sterling. I think it's a good fight. I think it's... If the Yair fight doesn't happen and Diego does stay at 145, this is what should be next. I wanted this fight for a while. I wanted it since Aljo beat Cater. I like the Zalal matchup though, because Aljo ended up sitting out. So I liked the Zalal matchup he ended up getting. But this should be next now. There's so many other fights you can do though. I think I'll get into that in a little bit, but I think I like this Aljo fight for Diego. I think it's winnable for both. Aljo could just dominate the grappling. Maybe he has good enough jiu-jitsu, like pretty good grappling to, I think, combat with the jiu-jitsu of Diego. Sick fight, and it does diverse. It's like a main event fight that I think it makes sense if you put this over Fiora Grasso, Morales Moreno, and Waldo Blades. It makes sense. It's one of those fights that just makes sense. Both coming off wins. It makes sense. Maybe not the Dan Hooker one. I can see this just not being a main event worthy fight. But it's such a good fight that you could just put it in the main event. And the hype and this is a war. This is a barn burner. That I think that would bring it. But rankings wise, high level wise, I think this is better. And if they don't want Diego, they want to save Diego for like one of these matchups. Maybe they want to save him for Max. Maybe they want to save him for someone else, and they don't want him for Noche. But they can get Yair, and Yair doesn't want to be in 145. I think one of these three fights should happen. I think these are the three fights that make the most sense. I know I'm minorly blocking Dan Hooker. Maybe I should move my face cam for today. Boo, 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 boo. Okay, I'm not used to being here, but I'm gonna have to move myself. I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense for Yair. The Dan Hooker fight, I think, is a rematch. I should have prepped that before coming on video. When I was setting this up, I thought it was a rematch, but I'll be looking into that. Looking into now. I like the Moicano fight. It's not a top 5, top 7 matchup, but it's someone in the top 11. I think he's ranked 11 above Fiziev. And it's a good fight for him. It's a good fight for Moicano, and it seems like a fight that Moicano would take. Both of these guys are big names, and I think it could be over Fiora. I don't think two of these fights, I don't think the Dan Hooker fight or the Moicano fight for Yair would really be good enough to be over Fiora versus Grasso. But I think Yair, if they're gonna want to put Yair in this spot, I think it makes sense. I'm still looking for it. But if it's Mauricio Rufy and they want to have him fight Yair, that could definitely go above Grasso versus Fiora. I think it makes sense. But I think these fights are good for Yair. If he wants to move up to 155, the UFC seems to not want to push these guys moving up a division unless they're champs or former champs. Even former champs like Aljo, he didn't get pushed into a top 5 matchup. He got given Cater. It seems like even Ortega, he wasn't gonna get someone. I think top 10. He was gonna get someone like top 12 in Moicano. I think Moicano was ranked like 12 or something at that time. So the UFC see clearly when people move up division, they don't like giving them like ranked or in the exact same ranking position as them. They like giving them someone lower ranked. Even Vinicius Oliveira, who was coming off a loss, he didn't get someone ranked. He got someone I'm pretty like low outside the rankings, so it makes sense. So yeah, I think this makes sense for Yair. One of these three fights. And if it's not the main event, these three fights still make sense. If he doesn't want to fight Diego Lopez, I think these three fights could just happen in general. But I'm just thinking for main event wise, the Rufy fight makes sense. Dan Hooker makes sense. I'm gonna look into the Dan Hooker thing right now, and the Moicano one. I can just feel like it's a fight that Moicano would take because I think he would see as winnable. Main event, Noche against Yair Rodriguez. He'd probably get paid for that. Where's Dan Hooker? There he is. I swear he fought Yair when he was still in featherweight. He did, yeah. This would be a rematch. Yeah, that's right. Dan Hooker lost his decision. So this would be a rematch. It would be like one of those weird rematches you don't even realize happened. But this does feel like a weird. It's same vibe as Moicano versus Ortega. That's like the same vibe Dan Hooker versus Yair has, but it'd be a better fight, I think. I think these are good matchups. Next, I'm gonna be talking about just featherweights in general because no one's getting booked yet. The whole featherweight division is. I'm still blocking somebody. Where can I put this camera? I'm not blocking somebody. No. Well, Aljo, I'm gonna have to block you really quickly, buddy. There we go. Aljo's here, but we obviously already seen him on like these 3, or these 4, I should say. And you're probably wondering why is Recycle? Any of these guys could fight, Diego or Yair. If Yair's gonna stay in 145, Diego's levels is gonna stay in 145. They could fight any of these guys, and it could main event. Diego versus Villejos, Diego versus Allen, not Diego versus John Silva. They already fought Noche, so that's not. But Diego versus Lerone Murphy, and as we just said, Diego versus Sterling makes sense. Yair versus Murphy, Yair versus Sterling, Yair versus Allen is a fight I've been wanting. Yair versus Vallejos, that's a good fight. Yair versus John Silva is a fight I've been wanting as well. That would make sense. That would be a good fight. Just makes sense. And you can even do some of these fights. I want you Vallejos versus. I'm gonna do matchmaking right now. I want Vallejos versus Allen. I think this is the fight that should be made. I want John Silva against either Murphy or Sterling. I think it's gonna be Lerone. Um, and yeah, I don't know why they've had John so inactive. Maybe they're waiting to see what they do with Volk, and they're just trying to see. Maybe they really want the Murphy fit for him, and they're waiting for that. I don't know, but yeah, I would do Vallejos versus Allen. I think that could even mean event, but I don't think they would want to put it above two Mexicans, or like three in Shiras. Um, Obviously Murphy versus Sterling could have made event, but I'm just talking about in general. These are fights that could be made. I think Vallejos brings a Spanish speaking market, but I don't think he could main event against Allen or Murphy, Sterling. I don't think that could main event. The rematch with John Silva probably could, but I don't think that would happen. Rankings wise, it just doesn't even make sense. But if any of these guys even fought Diego, maybe other than Vallejos, because I don't think he has a ranking for it, or Yair, I think that any of these guys could fight Yair or Diego and can main event. And I'm gonna stop talking about Diego. I think he should be the main event against any of these guys. Dude, Diego could fight any one of these three guys as well, and it'd be a sick fight. Hooker, Moicano, even Fiziev, if Fiziev can be active enough and come back, I think that would be a good fight. I didn't even think about that until right now. But I think Peyton Talbot, if they're saving Peyton Talbot for something, let it be for a main event. Let it be for a big moment. Why is this not opening? And I need to move my face cam again now. Let it be for a big moment. Let him get a big fight. Let him get a big moment. He's a huge star. Him versus Carlos Jr. is a good fight. Him versus David Martinez is a good fight. David Martinez got injured for his Abu Dhabi fight. Maybe he's healed up soon. He can get this Payne Talbot fight. Carlos Jr. versus Talbot, prospect versus prospect. Maybe this just doesn't scream main event, and that's why I'm kind of saving for the end, because I don't really think it would, and I think Yair or Diego would just make so much more sense. But it seems like they're saving Talbot for something. Maybe they're waiting for 331. He could probably be fighting Robert Jr. or David Martinez for 331. I don't know what happened to Martinez's face here, but they could be saving him for that. I don't know. And yeah, I think these fights make sense for your Payton Talbot. I just want to see the reason I'm making these with Payton Talbot. I can see Robert Jr. versus Figgy being made, but that's not a main event. I think that could just have been on the main card. Figgy versus David Martinez. I don't know. David Martinez, I think, is ranked higher than him. But Payton Talbot makes sense because he's a huge star, and against these two Mexican fighters, that could help main event it. But it's the fight's under, so like I don't think this could be over Grosso or Moreno really. And lastly, Royval does have Mexican descent. I think him versus Tyra 2 makes sense. That fight's already happened. Like that happened 2 years ago already. I think rankings wise, it kind of makes sense. I think Royval's just ranked above him or something. Maybe they want to give Tyra a step down. But the main fight, I think Asu Mabayev should get this opportunity. Royval versus Asu makes sense. Royval did get knocked down badly against Kavanaugh, so I don't think he's gonna be right. That's why I'm saving these two for the end, because I just don't think these will main event, and nor do I think these matchups will really happen. I want to see some of these matchups happen. I don't think they're gonna happen as soon as I think they will, and I just don't think these will main event. So I really want to see Yair versus Diego. I want to see Diego versus Sterling. I want to see Diego versus Hooker. I want to see Diego against any of these. I want to see Diego versus Fiziev. Give us that. Even at 145, if that's possible, if Fizzy wants to move down. I think since it's like 2 months away, I don't think that'd be happening. But I digress. Let me know your guys' thoughts. What are you guys' thoughts on this main card? I think it's like a solid 7 out of 10. It has decently ranked fights all over it. These two kind of McGree versus Gaslam was a pretty good fight because of McGree, but this is a main card worthy. But these fights are pretty good. I don't mind them. Let me know what you guys think. I think a main event is gonna have to carry this, and it'll like make it like a 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10 card. But let me know which one is your guys' favorite matchup. What matchups would you guys do? I didn't say Max. I already said why. Armin versus Charles. I think they're gonna be fighting each other, and yeah. But there's probably some amazing matchups you can make all over the place. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you guys want me to make more matchmaking videos like this. It didn't take me too much time to make these graphics, if you can't tell. But yeah, like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed it. Follow me on Twitter, jazzlovesmma, and I'll catch you guys in the next time. I'm going to be dropping predictions on Tuesday, so be there or be square. Peace.